Welcome to Council Awareness Module 1. In this video, we will explore the powers and obligations of council members, and how cooperation between council members and management can lead to effective decision-making. In management corporations, one might be interested to run for election as a member of the Management Council for any number of reasons, including to serve fellow owners and residents, to have a say in some decision-making, or simply to understand how decisions of the management corporation are made.
However, many people run for election, get elected to the Management Council, and even serve for years on the Management Council without ever fully understanding the scope of their powers and the extent of their obligations as council members. A clear understanding of one's powers and obligations as a council member is crucial not only for a smooth term in the Management Council, but also to avoid allegations that one has breached some of the obligations owed as council members.
The Management Council's powers, and therefore the powers of individual council members, derive from Section 58(1) of the Building Maintenance and Strata Management Act 2004, or BMSMA. This provision states that subject to the provisions of the Act, the decision of a council on any matter, other than a restricted matter, is the decision of the Management Corporation. In light of the wording of Section 58(1) of the BMSMA, it is important that council members know which provisions of the Act require decisions to be made by the general body, and what restricted matters are, so that the council members do not inadvertently purport to make a decision on a matter that they are actually not empowered to do.
More fundamentally, council members have to be aware that because all their decisions are made on behalf of the Management Corporation, such decisions must be decisions that the Management Corporation is itself empowered to make in the first place. Management corporations are creatures of statute and therefore limited in what they can do by what the BMSMA and Land Titles, Strata, Act 1967 empower them to do, whether expressly or impliedly. So, council members cannot assume that just because a decision is not one required to be made by the general body under the BMSMA and not a restricted matter, they can go ahead and make that decision. Council members must also be satisfied that the decision is one that the Management Corporation is empowered to make, either expressly or impliedly, by the BMSMA or Land Titles, Strata, Act 1967. Moving on to duties or obligations, Section 61(1) of the BMSMA states that a member of a council must at all times act honestly and use reasonable diligence in the discharge of the duties of the member's office, while Section 61(2) of the BMSMA states that a member of a council must not use his or her position as a member of the council to gain, directly or indirectly, an advantage for himself or herself or for any other person, or to cause detriment to the Management Corporation.
A breach of either Section 61(1) or 61(2) of the BMSMA is a criminal offense. If a council member is found guilty of such offense, he or she shall be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding $5,000 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 12 months or to both. To our knowledge, the Building and Construction Authority has charged council members under Section 61(2) BMSMA before. A breach of either Section 61(1) or 61(2) of the BMSMA also exposes the council member to civil liability, since pursuant to Section 61(3)(a) of the BMSMA, that council member will be liable to the Management Corporation for any profit made by him or her, or for any damage suffered by the Management Corporation as a result of the breach of those provisions. In practice, a management corporation may commence legal proceedings against an ex-council member for damages allegedly suffered as a result of the ex-council member's breach of these provisions during his or her term in office.
Pursuant to another provision, Section 60(1) of the BMSMA, if a member of a council has a pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in any contract, proposed contract or other matter which is before any meeting of the council or Management Corporation, the member must at that meeting a. Declare the nature of his or her interest, b. Not take part in the consideration or discussion of or vote on any question with respect to that contract or proposed contract or other matter, And C, if the chairperson or the person presiding at that meeting so directs, withdraw from the meeting during the consideration or discussion unless asked by the council to be present to provide information.
If the council member acts in breach of Section 60(1) of the BMSMA, this is also a criminal offense. That council member will be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding $5,000 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 12 months or to both. In light of the severe consequences of the breach of such duties, it is vital for council members to understand the nature of their duties and how they should be fulfilled in practice.
A final point to note is that council members should not assume that they are always covered by errors and omissions insurance policies taken out by the management corporation for their benefit. Such policies will not affect criminal liability and may not cover civil liability since they are taken out, pursuant to Section 71(1)(d) BMSMA, in respect of liability for any act or omission, committed or omitted in good faith, in performing the functions of that office. If the act or omission is not in good faith or not in performing the functions of that office, the policy will not cover claims arising from the act or omission.
I hope you found this video informative and helpful in understanding the roles and responsibilities of council members. Remember, a well-functioning management council can lead to a more cohesive community.